You think rich people became rich by buying smarter things? Wrong. They became rich by stopping buying certain things entirely. And the crazy part? Most of these things are sitting in your house right now. You paid for them. You might even think they make you look successful. But here's the brutal truth most people won't tell you. The things you're buying to feel wealthy are the exact reasons you'll never become wealthy. I'm Jensen Huang, American billionaire, built my fortune from nothing, and I'm going to tell you something that will make you uncomfortable. There are 6 categories of purchases that every wealthy person I know eliminated from their life years ago. Not reduced, eliminated. And if you're still buying them, you're playing a financial game you cannot win. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through all 6. I'll explain the psychology behind why you keep buying them, the math that proves why they're destroying your wealth, and what you should be doing instead. If you're serious about your financial future, hit subscribe. This channel doesn't do hype, we do reality. And reality is the only thing that will actually change your bank account. Let's start with the biggest financial mistake I see people make over and over again. New cars. You walk into a dealership, you smell that new car smell. You sit in the driver's seat. The salesperson tells you about the 0% financing. The leather feels perfect. The dashboard lights up like a spaceship. And you sign. Here's what just happened. You made one of the worst financial decisions of your life. And I'm not exaggerating. Let me show you the math that nobody wants you to see. The moment you drive that new car off the lot, it loses 10 to 20% of its value. Instantly. You haven't even made it home yet, and you've lost thousands of dollars. Within the first year, that car will depreciate another 10%. By year 3, it's lost 40 to 50% of what you paid. Let's say you bought a $40,000 car. In 3 years, it's worth $20,000 to $24,000. You lost $16,000 to $20,000 just by owning it. That's not transportation, that's wealth destruction. Now let me tell you what wealthy people do instead. They buy used. But not just any used car. They buy cars that are 2 to 4 years old. Why? Because someone else already paid for the depreciation. That same $40,000 car? A wealthy person buys it for $22,000 to $26,000. It looks almost identical. It runs almost identically. But they saved $14,000 to $18,000. And here's the part most people miss. They take that $14,000 they didn't spend and they invest it. Let's do more math. If you invest $14,000 and it grows at 8% per year for 10 years, you have $30,000. For 20 years, $65,000. For 30 years, $140,000. You see what just happened? The decision to buy used instead of new didn't just save you $14,000, it created $140,000 in wealth over your lifetime. And that's from one car purchase. Most people buy 8 to 10 cars in their lifetime. If you keep buying new, you're destroying hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know billionaires who drive 10-year-old cars. I know people worth $50 million who buy used Toyotas. Why? Because they understand something most people don't. A car is a tool. It gets you from point A to point B. That's it. It's not an investment. It's not a status symbol. It's a depreciating asset that costs you money every single month. Insurance, gas, maintenance, registration, tires, oil changes. And if you financed it, add interest on top of that. Most people are paying $500 to $800 per month just to own a car. That's $6,000 to $9,600 per year. Over 10 years, $60,000 to $96,000. Now imagine if you redirected half of that into investments, into assets that grow, into your future instead of a hunk of metal that loses value every day. You'd retire years earlier. You'd have financial freedom. You'd stop living paycheck to paycheck. But instead, you bought the new car. Let me tell you what the car companies don't want you to know. They make their money off your insecurity. They know you want to feel successful. They know you compare yourself to your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends. So they sell you a lifestyle. They sell you an identity. They make you believe that the car you drive defines who you are. And you fall for it. Because it feels good in the moment. It feels like progress. It feels like you're winning. But 5 years later, you're still broke. You're still stressed about money. And that car you were so excited about, it's just a car now. The shine wore off, the excitement faded, and you're stuck with the payment. Here's the reality. Buying a new car is one of the clearest signals that you don't understand wealth. Wealthy people optimize for value, not validation. They buy what works, not what impresses. And here's the part that will make you uncomfortable. If you're still buying new cars, you're not serious about building wealth. You're serious about looking like you have wealth. There's a difference. One builds a future, the other builds debt. So what should you do instead? Simple. Buy used. Buy reliable. Buy boring. A 3-year-old Honda Accord. A 4-year-old Toyota Camry. A certified pre-owned car with low mileage and a clean history. Pay cash if you can. If you can't, finance as little as possible and pay it off fast. Then take the money you saved and put it somewhere that actually grows. Index funds, real estate, a business, anything that builds wealth instead of destroying it. Because here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Every dollar you waste on a new car is a dollar you're stealing from your future self. And your future self is the one who's going to pay the price. You think you can't afford to retire? You think you're behind on savings? You think you'll never get ahead? Look in your driveway. That's where your retirement went. This is just the first of 6 things. And if this one hurt, the next ones are going to hurt even more. Let's talk about your house. Not the house itself, what's inside it. Most people think that having a nice home means buying new furniture. New couches, new beds, new dining tables, everything fresh from the store. And every time you move or redecorate, you do it again. You walk into a furniture store. You see the showroom. Everything looks perfect. The sales associate tells you about the financing plan. 0% interest for 12 months, or maybe 24 months. And you think, I can afford $150 a month. So you buy it. Here's what just happened. You paid full retail price for something that will be worth 30 to 50% less the moment it's delivered to your house. Let me say that again. The furniture you just bought lost half its value before you even sat on it. And unlike a car, which at least depreciates on a predictable curve, furniture has almost no resale value at all. You paid $3,000 for that couch. In 5 years, if you try to sell it, you'll be lucky to get $500. Most of the time, you'll have to give it away for free just to get it out of your house. That's not decorating. That's financial suicide. Now let me show you what wealthy people do. They buy used. They buy vintage. They buy estate sales. They buy auction finds. And their homes look better than yours. I'm not talking about buying garbage off the side of the road. I'm talking about high-quality solid wood, well-made furniture that someone else paid full price for and is now selling for pennies on the dollar. A $4,000 solid oak dining table? You can buy it used for $800. A $2,500 leather couch? $600 on Facebook Marketplace. A $1,200 dresser? $200 at an estate sale. Same quality, sometimes better quality, a fraction of the price. And here's the part most people don't understand. Wealthy people furnish million-dollar homes this way. I've been in homes worth $5 million, $10 million, $20 million. And you know what? Half the furniture was bought secondhand. Not because they couldn't afford new, because they refused to overpay. Wealth isn't about spending more, it's about spending smart. But here's why you keep buying new furniture anyway. You think it's dirty. You think it's beneath you. You think buying used means you're poor. So you'd rather go into debt buying new stuff that loses value instantly than buy used stuff that holds value or even appreciates. Let me tell you something. That mindset is keeping you broke. Because while you're financing a $2,000 couch at 18% interest, a wealthy person is buying the same couch used for $400 and investing the $1,600 they didn't spend. And that $1,600 invested at 8% for 20 years turns into $7,450. You see what just happened? That couch didn't just cost you $2,000. It cost you $7,450 in future wealth. Now multiply that by every piece of furniture in your house. Your bed, your nightstands, your coffee table, your kitchen table, your office desk, your bookshelves. If you bought everything new, you probably spent $15,000 to $25,000 furnishing your home. If you had bought used, you could have spent $4,000 to $7,000 for the same or better quality. That's $10,000 to $18,000 in savings. Invested over 20 years, that's $46,000 to $83,000. And that's just from one round of furnishing. Most people refurnish or update their homes every 7 to 10 years. So over a lifetime, you're destroying hundreds of thousands of dollars just to have furniture that looks like everyone else's. Let me go deeper on the psychology here. Furniture stores are designed to make you feel like you need new things. They create showrooms that look perfect. They use lighting, staging, and sales tactics to trigger your emotions. They make you feel like your current furniture is outdated, like your home isn't good enough, like you're behind. And then they offer you financing so you don't feel the pain of the purchase. But here's the truth. Financing furniture is one of the dumbest financial moves you can make. You're paying interest on something that's losing value. That's the definition of going backwards. And most furniture store financing? If you don't pay it off in the promotional period, they hit you with retroactive interest. Suddenly that 0% deal costs you 20 to 30%. Now you're paying $3,500 for a couch that's worth $800 and falling. Here's what wealthy people know that you don't. Your furniture doesn't define you. Nobody walks into your house and checks the tags to see if you bought everything new. Nobody cares if your dining table came from a store or an estate sale. What they see is whether it looks good and works well. And here's the secret. Used furniture, especially solid wood and vintage pieces, often looks better than the cheap particle board junk they sell at furniture stores today. A 40-year-old solid oak dresser will outlast anything you buy at a big box store. And it has character, it has history, it's actually worth something. But you wouldn't know that because you've been conditioned to think new is better. It's not. New is more expensive. New loses value faster. New is made cheaper than it used to be. So what should you do instead? Stop walking into furniture stores. Start searching Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, estate sales, and local auctions. Look for solid wood. Look for quality construction. Look for pieces that have held up over time. Buy used. Clean it up if you need to. Reupholster it if you want. Paint it if it fits your style. And take the money you saved and invest it. Because here's the reality. Every dollar you spend on new furniture is a dollar that will never come back to you. Furniture doesn't appreciate, it doesn't grow, it doesn't build wealth. It sits in your house, loses value, and eventually ends up on the curb when you move or redecorate. And then you do it all over again. You think you can't afford to invest? You think you don't have extra money at the end of the month? Look around your house. That's where your investment capital went. You spent it on things that are now worth a fraction of what you paid. And the worst part? You did it because you thought it made you look successful. And if you're still buying brand new furniture, you're destroying it. Now we're going to talk about the thing that keeps more people broke than anything else. Luxury goods, designer bags, luxury watches, brand name clothes, high-end accessories. Things you buy not because they work better, but because they have a logo on them. Let me ask you a question. Why did you buy that designer bag? Was it because it holds your stuff better than a $50 bag? Was it because the stitching is so superior that it justifies the $2,000 price tag? Or was it because you wanted people to see the logo? Be honest. You bought it because of what you think it says about you. You think it says you're successful. You think it says you've made it. You think it signals status, wealth, and importance. Here's the brutal truth. It signals the opposite. Real wealthy people don't wear logos. They don't carry bags covered in brand names. They don't need to advertise what they own. You know why? Because their bank account does the talking, not their outfit. Let me explain something about luxury goods that the fashion industry will never tell you. The profit margin on a designer bag is 10 to 12 times the cost to manufacture it, sometimes more. That $3,000 handbag? It costs $200 to $300 to make. The rest is brand markup. You're not paying for quality. You're paying for a logo and the feeling it gives you. And that feeling? It's temporary. You get the bag. You carry it around for a few weeks. People notice. You feel good. Then the novelty wears off. And you're back to feeling the same way you did before you bought it. Except now you're $3,000 poorer. But here's where it gets worse. Luxury goods don't hold value the way people think they do. Yes, certain rare items appreciate. A vintage Rolex, a limited edition Hermes Birkin, but those are exceptions, and they're only valuable if you never use them. Everything else depreciates the moment you walk out of the store. You paid $5,000 for that watch. You wear it for 2 years. You try to sell it. You get $2,500 if you're lucky. Most of the time, $1,800 to $2,200. You just lost $3,000 to tell time. Your phone does that for free. Now let me tell you what wealthy people do. They buy quality, not logos. They buy a well-made leather bag with no branding for $300 instead of a logo-covered bag for $2,500. It lasts just as long, sometimes longer. They buy a reliable watch for $500 instead of a luxury watch for $8,000. It tells time just as accurately. They buy clothes that fit well and last, not clothes that scream status. Because they understand something you don't. Wealth whispers. When you're actually wealthy, you don't need to prove it to anyone. You're not trying to impress strangers. You're not compensating for insecurity. You're just living your life. But when you're broke or middle class trying to look rich, you scream it. You wear the logos, you carry the bags, you post the pictures, and everyone who's actually wealthy sees right through it. Here's the psychology behind why you keep buying this stuff. You're not buying a bag, you're buying an identity. You're buying the idea that you're the type of person who can afford this, that you belong in a certain class, that you've arrived. But here's the problem. You haven't arrived. Because if you had actually arrived, you wouldn't need the logo to prove it. Let me tell you a story. I know a guy worth $200 million. He wears a $40 Timex watch. He drives a 12-year-old Toyota. He shops at Costco. You'd never know he was wealthy if you passed him on the street. I also know people making $60,000 a year who carry $2,000 bags and wear $800 shoes. They finance everything. They have $40,000 in credit card debt. And they look wealthy. But only one of them is actually wealthy. The difference? One built assets, the other built an image. And 20 years from now, the guy with the Timex will be retired on a beach. The guy with the designer bag will still be working, still stressed about money, still trying to keep up appearances. Here's what nobody tells you about the luxury goods trap. It's not just the money you spend, it's the identity you build around it. Once you start buying luxury goods, you can't stop. Because stopping feels like admitting you can't afford it anymore. It feels like failure. So you keep buying, you keep financing, you keep pretending, and every year you dig the hole deeper. Let me give you some math. Let's say you spend $5,000 a year on luxury goods, designer clothes, bags, shoes, accessories, watches. For most people, that's conservative. Over 20 years, that's $100,000. Now let's say instead of buying that stuff, you invested that $5,000 every year at 8%. After 20 years, you'd have $247,000. After 30 years, $611,000. You see what just happened? The luxury goods didn't just cost you $100,000. They cost you over $500,000 in wealth. And for what? So strangers could see a logo? Let me tell you what that logo really says. It says you care more about what people think than your financial future. It says you're willing to go into debt to maintain an image. It says you don't understand the difference between looking rich and being rich. Here's the truth. Nobody is impressed. The people who recognize the logo? They're playing the same game you are. They're broke too. They're in debt too. The people who are actually wealthy, they don't notice. They don't care. And they certainly don't respect you more because of your bag. So you're spending thousands of dollars to impress people who either can't afford to be impressed or aren't impressed at all. That's the status tax. And you're paying it every single month. Now here's what you should do instead. Stop buying logos. Start buying quality. If you need a bag, buy a well-made leather bag with no branding. It'll last 10 years and cost a fraction of the price. If you need a watch, buy a Seiko or a Citizen. Reliable, well-made, no status signaling. Under $500. If you need clothes, Buy basics that fit well. Quality materials, classic styles, no logos. And take the money you save and invest it. Because here's the reality. The only status that matters is financial independence. Not what you wear, not what you carry, not what car you drive or what watch you own. The only status that actually changes your life is having enough money that you don't have to work anymore. And every dollar you spend on luxury goods is a dollar that pushes that freedom further away. You think you can't retire early? You think you'll be working until you're 70? Look in your closet. That's why. You spent your retirement on bags and shoes and watches that are now worth 30% of what you paid. And the saddest part? You did it because you thought it would make you feel successful. But you don't feel successful. You feel stressed. You feel behind. You feel like you're never going to get ahead. And you're right. Because you can't get ahead when you're spending money you don't have on things you don't need to impress people who don't care. That's not wealth building. That's ego maintenance. And ego maintenance is expensive. Here's the final truth about luxury goods. They're a test to see if you understand what actually matters. If you're still buying them, you failed the test. You're still trapped in the game of appearances. But if you can walk past the designer store, ignore the logo, and invest that money instead, you just passed. And you're one step closer to actual wealth. 3 down, 2 to go. The next one is silent, invisible, and bleeding you dry every single month. Let's talk about the money you're losing right now and don't even know it. Subscriptions. Pull out your phone. Open your bank statement. Look at the recurring charges. Netflix, Spotify, gym membership, meal kit delivery, cloud storage, streaming services, app subscriptions, software you signed up for 6 months ago. How many of those do you actually use? Here's what I see when I audit people's finances. The average person has 8 to 12 active subscriptions. They use maybe 3 of them regularly. The rest? They forgot they even signed up. But the charges keep coming. Every month. $9.99 here, $14.99 there, $29.99 over here. You think it's small. You think it doesn't matter. Let me show you why you're wrong. Let's say you have $150 a month in subscriptions you don't use or barely use. That's $1,800 a year. Over 10 years, that's $18,000. But here's the real damage. If you invested that $150 every month at 8% for 10 years, you'd have $27,000. For 20 years, $88,000. For 30 years, $204,000. You just found your retirement. It was hiding in your subscription list. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you canceled a subscription? Most people never do. They sign up during a free trial. They forget about it. The charge hits their credit card. They see it on their statement and think, I should cancel that. But they don't. Why? Because it's convenient to keep it. Because canceling feels like work. Because it's only $10. But that $10 is costing you $18,000 in wealth over your lifetime. And it's not just subscriptions. It's the entire convenience economy that's designed to drain your bank account $5 and $10 at a time. DoorDash, Uber Eats, coffee runs, bottled water, pre-cut vegetables, meal kits. You're paying double or triple the actual cost because you don't want to cook. You don't want to make coffee at home. You don't want to meal prep. And every one of those small convenience charges is a leak in your wealth bucket. Let me give you some math on this. Let's say you order food delivery 3 times a week. Average cost with fees and tip, $25. That's $75 a week, $300 a month, $3,600 a year. If you cook those same meals at home, they'd cost you $8 to $10 each. Let's say $10. That's $30 a week, $120 a month, $1,440 a year. You're spending $2,160 more per year just for the convenience of not cooking. Now let's add your daily coffee, $6 a day, 5 days a week. That's $30 a week, $120 a month, $1,440 a year. If you made coffee at home, it would cost you 50 cents per cup. That's $2.50 a week, $10 a month, $120 a year. You're spending $1,320 more per year on coffee. Add that to the food delivery, $3,480 a year. Over 10 years, $34,800. Invested at 8%, $63,000. Over 20 years, $172,000. You want to know why you can't save money? This is why. It's not because you don't make enough. It's because you're hemorrhaging money on convenience. And here's the worst part. You don't even enjoy most of it. That delivery food is cold by the time it gets to you. That coffee from the shop tastes the same as the coffee you could make at home. That meal kit has vegetables you could have bought for half the price at the grocery store. You're not paying for quality, you're paying for convenience. And convenience is the most expensive thing you can buy. Now let me tell you what wealthy people do. They audit their expenses every single month. They look at every recurring charge. They cancel anything they're not actively using. They don't order delivery. They cook. They meal prep. They make coffee at home. Not because they can't afford it, because they refuse to waste money. And here's the mindset shift you need to understand. Every dollar you waste on convenience is a dollar you're stealing from your future. That $6 coffee isn't just $6. It's $28 in 20 years if invested. It's $65 in 30 years. That $25 delivery order isn't just $25. It's $115 in 20 years. It's $267 in 30 years. Every time you choose convenience, you're choosing to be broke later. That extra $5 a month on 3 different services is $15 a month. That's $180 a year. Over 20 years invested at 8%, that's $8,850. You paid almost $9,000 to skip ads. Let me tell you what wealthy people know about subscriptions. If you're not using it multiple times a week, you don't need it. One streaming service is enough, not 5. One music service is enough. One cloud storage plan is enough. Everything else is just waste. And if you're paying for a gym membership you use twice a month, cancel it. Work out at home. Go for a run. Do body weight exercises. You don't need to pay $50 a month to stay in shape. And right now is why you're broke. You prioritize comfort today over security tomorrow. You prioritize convenience today over wealth tomorrow. And every day you make that choice, you push financial freedom further away. So here's your action step. Cut your subscriptions in half. Stop ordering delivery. Make your coffee at home. Pack your lunch. Take the money you save and automate it into an investment account. Don't wait until the end of the month to see if there's money left over. There won't be. Move the money first. Invest it first. Then live on what's left. Because if you don't, you'll spend it. On something small, on something convenient, on something you won't even remember in a week. And 20 years from now, you'll still be working, still broke, still wondering why you can't get ahead. The answer is simple. You chose convenience over wealth. And that choice, repeated every single day, destroyed your financial future. But you can change that choice today, right now. Cancel the subscriptions, stop the delivery, make the coffee, invest the difference. And in 20 years, you'll actually have something to show for it. Not convenience, wealth. Not comfort today, freedom tomorrow. Not excuses, results. Look, I know this isn't what you wanted to hear. You wanted me to tell you about some investment hack or some secret wealthy people know. But the secret is this. Wealthy people don't waste money on stupid things. They don't buy new cars. They don't buy new furniture. They don't buy logo bags. And they don't leak money on subscriptions and convenience. They protect every dollar like it's their last. Because they know that every dollar protected is a dollar that can grow. And growth is how you build wealth. Not income, not luck, not timing, discipline, consistency, refusing to do what everyone else is doing. That's it. That's the whole game. You can start right now. Pull up your bank statement. Cancel 3 subscriptions. Make coffee at home tomorrow. Cook dinner instead of ordering out. You'll save $50 this week, $200 this month, $2,400 this year. And if you invest it, that $2,400 becomes $110,000 in 30 years. That's real money. That's real wealth. That's real freedom. But you'll never get there if you keep choosing convenience. The choice is yours. And truth is the only thing that will actually change your bank account.